Barak Dehawa, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Ease Using Reverse Tactics on Yasharahla. I was trying to give it another name, but the definition really wasn't matching up to the ideas that came to mind for this lesson. And pretty much I was watching the elder bishops on this lesson they were doing. You know, they were going into Esau, going into his blessing, you know, going into Genesis 27 and bringing out different points. And as I was listening to them, the idea came to me through the Spirit that pretty much the very first supplanting that happened to Esau, which we're going to read about, was his birthright. And you have to remember that the way that he got his birthright taken or supplanted from him was by what tactic? By hunger. He was hungry, and Jacob made him sell him his birthright while he was hungry. And we know right now that the biggest threat to the so-called New World Order, their agenda, are the Israelites, because we are the people of the Most High. We have the blessings, we have the birthright, we have everything. So he's trying to get that back using the same tactics that were pretty much used on him. And what is that? Hunger. And that's why that devil Henry Kissinger said, you know, use food as a weapon. This whole situation you see going on right now with the hunger happening, a bunch of series of movies called The Hunger Games, because that is the very way that they want to manipulate the world into accepting their so-called New World Order, by accepting that MO to the TB, which is the CHIP. And pretty much what that does, it makes Esau a god over the people that take that CHIP. And pretty much it excludes the Most High from that individual person's life, especially the Israelites. And that's pretty much what they're trying to do. It's a role reversal that they're trying, using the same tactics that were used on them for them to lose their birthright. And we're going to read about that and just go in the Spirit, you know, see how, you know, how the Spirit deals, and we'll take it from there. This is the book of Genesis 25. We're going to start at the 24th verse. You all should be familiar with the story of Jacob and Esau and the origins of the so-called white man after the flood, which came through a man by the name of Esau, whose name was changed to Edom. You know, the word Edom from the Hebrew word Adawam, which means red. They are the red people. They are not so-called white people. That was a construct that was placed upon them back in 1681, I believe the date was. And Elder Malcolm is the expert on that. And pretty much they put that label on themselves because white represents purity, you know, blessing, you know, unintended to harm, and black represents evil, wicked, void of light, which they place upon our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, pretty much, you know. So it says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, meaning Rebecca, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the twins were not identical twins, they were fraternal twins. And through the explanation that's given, you know, it's pretty evident. Now, I had wanted to do a lesson on this, and I totally forgot that I pulled up online, you know, the word Edom or Esau, and I went to the Wikipedia. And in the Wikipedia, oddly enough, it mentions what we've been teaching all these years, that it spoke about Esau's color, how he was red, so on and so forth. And then when his twin brother Jacob came out, it said it didn't mention a color. It said that right in Wikipedia. I was surprised because this is something that we've been saying for years. Now, I don't know if that was something that was inserted in there or if it was always there, you know, we just never caught on to it or whatever the case may be. Nevertheless, it's in there. It says that Esau's color was given red, but it never gave a color for Jacob. And the reason being is because Jacob came out like everybody else, brown skin. So there was no need to give a description of him because all people back then were brown skin, from a dark brown to a light brown. You know, you have this misconception that all people were super charcoal black back then. No, you always had a variety from a dark brown to a light brown. Hence Laban, you know, so on and so forth. You know. So, reading on, verse 25, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau, because he came out red like a dyed garment. Because garments, when skin is on an animal, it's not known as a garment. It is known as their fur, their skin, or whatever the case may be. Once it's taken off of them, then it's known as a garment. And then you would have certain individuals that would dye the garments different color depending on either the family crest or whatever family colors they were, or whatever particular color somebody wanted that particular garment to be. And one of them happened to be red. When you go to Exodus 25, I believe it is, it speaks about ram skins dyed red or something like that. So Esau's color was red all over like a hairy garment. Not that he was red and hairy, even though when he got older he was hairy, but when he was younger he was just red all over, like you look at a red hairy garment. The redness of that garment, that's what his skin color was. That's why his father Isaac called him Ishaw or Ishashwa, Esau. Wasted away is he. It says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Yeah, and it mentioned nothing about the color of Jacob. So I was surprised that they actually said that in Wikipedia when you look up either Esau or Edom. I think it was Esau when you read into it. It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. This is another clue or key as to, you know, who the Edomites are today. Because the top hunters on the planet are Esau, the so-called white man. You type in hunter on Google, you're gonna mostly get pictures of Edomites, you know, and even some aboriginal countries, you know, like you have some Japhetic aborigines from Australia, and you have some Hamites that are expert hunters, because Nimrod was a hunter also. But when you look at the art of hunting, Esau has cornered the market on that. These nations pretty much use primitive weapons like bows and arrows, spears, and things of that nature. Esau has a whole host of arsenal that he has, from guns to camouflage, jackets, vests, hats. They have things that they build out in the field to camouflage with the field, waiting for deer or whatever game to come up. They have stuff that they build into trees where they hide and wait. They have certain, you know, things that they use to call for different particular animals, ducks, birds, or whatever the case may be. They done cornered the market when it comes to hunting. So although you do have other nations out there that can hunt and that are expert hunters, they are not on the level of Esau. Check it out. Hunting magazines. Who are you going to have in there? Edomites. Out in the woods. You know, hunting their prey. They're experts because that is in their nature. This is something that the Lord instilled in them. Like when you watch the movie Demolition Man, right? The character that Sylvester Stallone played, it said that in him was something was put into him, right? And while he was, a part of his rehabilitation was that there were certain things that were put into him, built into him, you know, like stitching and sewing, crocheting and all that shit. It was a part of his makeup. But then the other one, you know, Wesley Snipes' character, he was a killer. He knew about guns and all that stuff. So these things were instilled in them as a part of their rehabilitation. Well, Esau, hunting is within his nature. It is something that the Most High gave them. It is a part of their makeup. And this is a reason why we know that these devils are Edomites also. That's another clue as to who the Edomites are. Dig it? All right. It says, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And that's, if you know anything about the Israelites, for the most part, they're mama's boys. Even the ones that are not mama's boys are still mama's boys. You know? And that's just the nature of Jake. You know, I always love my mama. She's my baby girl. You don't ever hear the other nations singing about their mama like that. You know? It says, and Jacob sought pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was what? Faint. What does it mean by he was faint? Meaning he was a hungered. He was a hungry. He was hangry. Let's get that. Let's get that. Let's see what it says for. Let's see what it says for faint. In Genesis 25 and 29. I believe that's how High Priest Ariel used to say it, Genesis. And he was faint. The word there is ayap, faint, exhausted, weary. Languid, faint, thirsty, weary, yeah. So he was faint. When you don't eat something, you know, or drink, you become faint. What happened when Samson killed those 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of an ass? It said afterward he was so thirsty he felt like he was gonna die. You know, oh yeah, Boys and Men song called Mama. You know, he felt like he was gonna die, and he prayed to the Lord. He said, Lord, did you give me this victory only to kill me? And then it said when the Lord gave him water to drink, it said his spirit came back into him. So Esau was at a point, he hunted that day and was not able to catch anything. And the Spirit of the Lord made it that no matter how cunning this devil was in hunting, that particular day he was not able to catch anything. No matter what trick he used all the tricks of the trade, everything in the book. But he just couldn't catch nothing. Why? Because the Most High wanted him to sell his birthright to Jacob to fulfill prophecy. So he was faint, he was a hungered, he was thirsty, he was hangry, right? It says, and Esau said to Jacob, feed me, see more. No, I'm kidding, just kidding, inside joke. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage. Now when we read in Hebrews, the 12th chapter, it said that there was actual meat in there. But whether it was meat or just lentils or whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. All right? The point is that this particular thing was not done. And Esau doesn't like his meat done. He likes it rare, steak tartare, medium rare, but for the most part, rare. All right? So it makes sense that there was actually meat in here that was not cooked, fully cooked yet. Right? So it says, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And the word Edom from the Hebrew word Adawam, which means red. All right? Different from Adam. Adama means ground. Edom, Adawam means red. Two totally different words. But Esau tries to lump them up in the blue letter or in the concordance to try to say that they are the same word. They are not the same word. They do not mean the same thing. They sound similar, they're spelt similar, but they're two totally different words, two totally different meanings. But this is the deception of the devil. Reading on. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. So here we're coming to the meat of it, pun intended. We're coming to the meat of it, of the point where Esau was at, faint, hungry, thirsty. And he's saying, look, feed me with that red pottage, man. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Jacob, feed me. And Jacob said, sell me your birthright. Right? And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. Why? Because he was faint. He was hungry. So pretty much Esau was in a state of desperation to get something into his system to balance him out. So he wasn't thinking straight. He wasn't, concerned with the birthright. Fuck the birthright in his mind, as long as I get something to eat. So it said, and Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he said, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob for this pottage of meat, because he was hungry. Hunger was used against him to supplant him to sell the birthright. So now he's trying to use that same thing to turn it around and reverse it to get that birthright back. Because if he can get all of the Israelites to take the MO to the TB, which is the C hip, then the Most High would not be able to deal with us. Because no longer will we belong to the Most High. See? So it goes on to say, then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Matter of fact, let's look up that word despised. That doesn't sound like a very good word. So Esau despised his birthright. The word there is bazah. To despise, hold in contempt, disdain, to despise, regard with contempt, to be despised, to be despicable, to be vile, worthless, to cause to despise. And this is why the Apostle Paul said what he said about Esau. When we go to the book of Hebrew, the pure language of the earth is a Hebrew. English is a bastard tongue. Inside joke. Hebrews 12 and 16. It says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. So there was meat in there, but it just wasn't done. It was lentils and meat. It says, for you know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. So pretty much what he's trying to do, he's trying to do a role reversal, trying to get us, the Israelites, to take this C-hip, which is the MO to the TB, so that we can be rejected in the sight of the Most High by receiving the blessing of this birthright. So he's trying to reverse it, but he can't. Because remember, the biggest threat to the New World Order is not the exposure of his work or his secret. It's not somebody else trying to establish a New World Order. It's none of those things. What it is the Israelites are the biggest threat to his New World Order, because they hold the key to the birthright. All right? So when we go to 2 Ezra 16, and we'll start at 68, it says, so behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle or still, with things offered unto idols, meaning these different idols, which the biggest idol is their New World Order. The MO to the TB, which is the C hip, that is the top idol out there. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach, and shall be trodden underfoot, because you're going to get jacked up anyway. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Who are who? The Israelites. Why? Because we are the biggest threat to this man's New World Order agenda. And this is why they're trying to reverse the role of putting us in a situation where we will be destitute of food, so that we would accept this devil's plans. Because once you take that, the Lord said, what? He's going to destroy you. You see? So they're using hunger as a weapon, because that's what was used against them. And the Lord made it to where Esau was at a point that if he didn't get something to eat at that particular moment, he would have been back in the spirit world. So he despised his birthright. He's a profane person. He sold his birthright because he was hungry. He was starving. So now the only way that he sees to get his birthright back is to get rid of us and to cause us to bend to his will, so that the Lord can reject us and accept them back, which they're retarded. The Most High ain't going to accept you. You're the wicked. This is Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil, Esau, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And they know within their heart of hearts, that demonic heart of hearts of theirs, that they have no hope of salvation, that they have no hope of regaining their birthright, that they have no part in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to find this precept. Okay, I got that one. Let me see if I can find the other one. Just bear with me 1 second. Just bear with me. Just bear with me while I find this other precept. I got one. There we go. I know it was St. John 14. Let's go to St. John's 14 first. St. John 14, I was there, but I missed it. St. John 14:30. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh and has nothing in me. You see? So they know that they don't have a part with the Lord. But that the world may know, that I love the Father, and as the Father gave me commandment, even so I do. Arise, let us go hence. So the prince of this world cometh and hath nothing in Yahushai. And who's the prince of this world? These Edomites. Now let's jump to the 12th chapter and the 31st verse. It says, now is the judgment of this world, now shall the prince of this world be cast out. Because Esau is the end of the world. Remember what the disciples asked the Lord. What shall be the sign of that coming and of the end of the world? What's the word world there mean? Eon from the Greek, which means an uninterrupted age or rule. And that is the Roman rule, which the Romans fell, but then they came back into power during the time of the Renaissance, and now they're getting ready to fall for good. As the Lord said, I saw Satan as lightning fall from heaven. That was Esau being being knocked out of heaven, out of their planes. Goes hand in hand with Revelation 12, Revelation 19, 2 Ezra 13. Those are the three, Isaiah 14. Those are the four major scriptures that deal with that whole situation. In some cases, it's allegorical, which is speaking about the destruction of Esau, but in an allegorical way. But in some cases, it just tells you straight up what it's talking about. And even when you go to the blue letter and you look up the word Lucifer, it says that that's another name for the king of Babylon. Which pretty much, it doesn't just represent one person. It represents the entire nation of the Edomites. And anyone that's in cahoots with them trying to establish the so-called New World Order under that Luciferian doctrine. You know? So they're at the point now where they're about to fall, but they think that they're going to establish, you know, their agenda, because they see everything moving forward. They see their plans moving forward, but unbeknownst to them, there's a trap set up for them. So when they get ready to put in that last screw, you know, to erect this ungodly, you know, agenda of theirs, that's when the Lord is going to shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. This is Job chapter 5 verse 12. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty. Who is the he? The Most High. He's going to disappoint their devices by what? By causing themselves to do certain things, to implode within themselves. And they are the crafty. It says, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. What is their enterprise? The so-called New World Order that they want to establish, but they're not going to be able to. They're only going to get so far. Job 20, it says, when they're about to eat, then the Lord shall cast the wrath of his fury upon them. Because they're going to cook the meal. They're going to pull the meal out of the oven. They're going to set up the table. They're going to put up the cups and the plates and the silverware, napkins, everything, the water, the wine. They're going to cut up the meat, serve it on the plates, and actually sit down and stick their fork in the food. And just before they get it to their mouth, boom, the Most High is going to knock them down. Terrible, man. It says, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. It says, they meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. Yeah, because when will they be brought down? At noonday. What is noonday? The highest part of the day. The brightest part of the day. All right, let's go to Psalms chapter 91. Let's go to Psalms chapter 91. And just bear with me while I find the verse. Right. It says, Psalms 91, I'll start at 4. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and thy buckler. So the feathers is talking about the chariots, and the truth being the buckler is this knowledge, this truth. Because remember, receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save thy soul. It says, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. That's dealing with the nuclear missiles, hypersonic missiles, nuclear missiles, whatever name they have put upon them. You know, the scriptures are not going to say nuclear missiles. It's going to be written in code. It says, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Meaning what? At the height of their power, that's when they're going to be brought down. All right? So we're in Esau's day. We're in Esau's morning. It's about to change from Esau's morning to Esau's darkness, Esau's night. Because the candle of the wicked shall be put out. Their candle right now is that Luciferian candle, which was given them which they have for the time being, until the Lord removes them out of the way. All right. So with that, that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else. He's using reverse tactics on Yasharahla. He's trying to reverse the role by putting us in a position where we'll be hungry, to give up that birthright. And any Israelite that takes their C-hip and receives this devil's ammo to the TB, they will lose their birthright, but in the kingdom they'll come back through the elect and they'll be okay in the kingdom. But in this time they won't make it, because the scriptures say that anyone that taketh the ammo to the TB shall have their part in the lake of fire. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.